Now to Tunisia, which is seeing a surge in racist attacks on people from Sub-Saharan Africa after the country's president alleged black migrants were part of an international plot to change the country's demographic makeup. Many of the migrants arriving in Tunisia come from Ivory Coast, Mali, or Senegal. Migration to Tunisia has increased in recent years as it's considered safer than neighboring Libya. Some move on to Europe, but others end up staying. Official figures show the country of 12 million is currently home to 21,000 migrants from Sub-Saharan Africa. Now, many are finding they're no longer welcome. DW's Jan-Philip Schultz reports from Tunisia.
There's not much to do now that he's lost his job. Pierre Zanga came from Cameroon to Tunisia 5 years ago, wanting to send money home. But his residency expired, and his boss at a restaurant suddenly became nervous after the president said he wanted to fight against illegal migrants. Watching videos doesn't help. Pierre's social media is full of actual or supposed violence between locals and people like him.
I've been singing, dancing with people in the street, and suddenly everything changed. The look at people change to you. That, believe me, is like a movie, a scary movie, you see.
Tunisians have shown support for people President Said called criminals who are infiltrating Tunisian culture. And the World Bank said it would suspend its partnership with the country. But the foreign minister can't comprehend these steps. He told DW he sees Tunisia as a victim of a hostile campaign.
Well, those reactions are over-exaggerated, and we feel that they are very much unfair. But we are open to any dialogue in order to find the best solution that will protect the dignity and the rights of all the migrants.
Many Tunisians seem to support the president. The country's economy is in crisis, and many accuse irregular migrants of taking jobs away from locals.
I'm against too many Africans here in Tunisia. We should deport them, especially in such difficult times as now.
I don't think we should deport everyone. We are all Africans on this continent. And the truth is that many Tunisians don't want to do the jobs that the migrants take on for a tiny salary.
Pierre says it's clear that he is no longer welcome in Tunisia. Many of his friends are already making their way to Europe. He's also thinking about getting on a boat.
If you don't have possibilities to change your actual life, probably you will take the decision to go to the sea. I'm sorry, this is the reality.
And yet, Pierre fears the reality on the other side of the Mediterranean may not be much better, assuming he makes it past coastal patrols and survives the perilous crossing.
More, let's bring in Sazabir Chalali. She's Director of Human Rights Watch in Tunisia and joins us from Amman, Jordan. Thanks for being with us. Sazabir, what is the situation like for black migrants in Tunisia today?
Thank you. As we heard, the authority refused to recognize the problem of racism today, and they announced some measures to facilitate the residency procedures for students, but all this announcement feels more like a mere announcement after the president's speech triggered this unprecedented crisis. And as we speak, dozens of people are still living in front of international organization headquarters in the streets of Tunis because they don't feel safe anywhere else, because they lost their jobs, have been evicted from their homes, and faced violent assaults following the president's racist rhetoric. Hundreds of black migrants also left when possible for them to go back to their countries, but others that are in a more vulnerable situation can't afford it, such as asylum seekers and refugees. We interviewed a dozen of black foreign Africans, and the racial nature of the attack is obvious, as the attacker are referring to their skin color or telling them to go back to their homes and countries.
Okay, so they're facing a really difficult situation there right now, sub-Saharan migrants in Tunisia. Now, migrants in Tunisia apparently were welcome there until just recently. You mentioned the president's speech. Is that what has changed things?
Yes, absolutely. The migrants, the black migrants that were in Tunisia were until now tolerated, and even if they were undocumented, they were working in Tunisia, having a situation, even if there is barrier to real integration. But the authorities and the president's speech has really triggered the situation, because the difference at that time, even if the black migrants were already facing attacks, it was sporadic. Now we are really in front of a crisis with all the black foreigners present in Tunisia, because they feel unsafe living right now in Tunisia.
Now, President Said called migrants criminals in his speech. He said they were trying to change the demography of the country. He has since said he was misunderstood. What do you make of all that?
I really think that the authorities refusing to acknowledge the problem and to provide protection is a problem. The authorities should be providing protection to all, and also pushing for the investigation and prosecution of those responsible of the attack. Tunisia was the first country in the region to enact a law against racial discrimination, but this law lacks effective implementation. At the same time, the protection of all those who report racial attacks is crucial, because today an undocumented person is not going to file a complaint at a police station because of the risk of arrest. And we know that instead of assisting victims, police arrested some undocumented migrants where they tried to complain. And I think that even for people that are documented, the problem is still there because of the discrimination they could face.
Sazabir, thank you very much for talking with us. That was Sazabir Chalali, the Tunisia Director of Human Rights Watch.